The last assignment that we worked on was based on Chapter 9, talking about auxiliary views. And this is an assignment at the back of that chapter. There are no instructions in the book for this assignment. What is given is this 3D view, and we are to create this auxiliary view along with the top and the front view, similar to the lesson in the chapter. So to start with, we can take a look at this 3D image. It's not required for you to bring it into AutoCAD, but I'll show you how to do it at the end of the video in case you want to set up your portfolio, this way. So looking at this 3D shape, we do have this kind of side view that shows this rectangular leg and this face here. And then it's not real clear in the assignment exercise of the book how far back this diameter, this circle goes. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it all the way back with these hidden lines showing the hole goes all the way back. It might stop here. Maybe that makes more sense. But this is the way that I'll draw it. Okay, and then once I drew this, I was able to project the lines up and draw the top view. And I didn't draw the circle yet in the top view because I needed to create this auxiliary view. Based on the lesson, we projected lines here at a 45-degree angle. In the last assignment, it was a 30-degree angle, and that gave us a little more guidance on where the lines would be in this view that's at an angle. The circle, though, because this is an auxiliary view and it's based on that flat surface, is exactly that diameter of 1.5. Okay, so if you'd like to start a brand new drawing and then create these layers, you can do that, except for the def points. The def points layer automatically is created the first time that you place a dimension. The other choice would be to go back to the last assignment, save it, and then do a save as, and save it as this assignment, assignment 11 for this class, and then take the objects out, and you have then the settings. Another choice would be to create a template file like we did at the beginning of the class. We didn't have all of these settings, so I just decided to do it from scratch. If you wanted to create a template file from this, all you would basically do is use save as to change your files of type here to DWT, and then call it whatever you'd like to call it so that the next time that you start a brand new drawing you have it. Okay, so you're inside a new drawing, whether you saved as the last assignment to get these layers and some of the dimension settings or not, totally up to you. It seems faster that way. Just make sure that you did save as and before you erase the original objects. Instead of creating several construction lines like they did in the last assignment and then drawing on top of those construction lines, some of these lines can just be drawn using the objects layer. So right from the objects layer, we can, and I'll draw it over here on the side, we can start, for instance, the rectangular command. You can draw this just using lines also. So here I'll use the rectangular command. I can click here anywhere and type in at 3, comma, 0.375 and enter. And that will give us that bottom line there. Now I can start the line command, and I'm just going to go ahead and click this bottom right corner, pull my mouse up and type in 1 and enter. And then in the last drawing we used here in polar tracking increment angles of 30. This one is 45. So just rest your pointer on that 5th icon, polar tracking, right click and pick 45. Then make sure here that that 5th and 6th icon are on, and we did have here on the show hide line weights. So I'm pulling my mouse towards what would be a 45-degree angle. It's actually 135, but increments of 45, and I'll just click somewhere up here. It doesn't matter how long that line is because we're going to determine it later on when we draw this 2.5. So we'll do that right now. Start the line command and click here at the bottom left corner. Pull your mouse straight up, type in 2.5 and enter. And then you can pull your mouse over 1 and enter. And then end the command by pulling your mouse over. So I just went 1 over. Pull your mouse over and click, and right click and enter. Now when you start the line command, you can go back to this endpoint that's at the end of the 1 and come back 45 degrees. You'll see that it's already tracking 45 degrees, which is 225 degrees because it's an increment of 45, and then just go ahead and click. You can then erase this line and either trim or use grips to stretch back some of these other lines to finish your shape. We can hold off on drawing the hidden lines until we create this auxiliary view and put the circle in, and then we can track back to create those hidden lines. So we can start the line command, or actually this is a rectangle. There are several different ways, as you can see, of drawing this. You can draw the entire 3x3 square and then offset. That's what we'll do. So start the rectangle command, and this time we'll rest our pointer on this corner and then pull our mouse up, and up here we're going to left click. We're drawing a 3x3 rectangle, so we can type in at 3, 3 and enter. And now we can explode it, select it, and pick the explode icon, which is right underneath erase, and use offset. To offset, go ahead and start the offset command, type in 0.5 and enter. I'm going to offset this top line down 0.5 and this bottom line up 0.5. Another nice tool to use is object snap tracking. We use tracking with some of the polar tracking alignment points, but if we go ahead and put object snap tracking, we'll have even more tracking vectors to work with. So when we're drawing these two lines here that represent the top of the 3D shape, we can start the line command and then rest your pointer here at this corner of the top line in the front view. But don't click. This is the hardest part. Find that tracking vector because you've already left this little alignment point. Come up to the second line here and then click. Pull your mouse up and click. And then right click and pick enter. Right click and repeat the line command. See, you don't really need the construction lines at that point if you're going to use tracking. I love tracking. You can then rest your pointer here. We'll start the line command, rest your pointer here. Track up to this point, which actually becomes the midpoint also. Pull your mouse up and click. Now we won't draw the circle here either because we'll wait on the construction lines or reference lines that we can use from this circle. Okay, I will use a few construction lines for this auxiliary view. I'll make the construction layer current, and then I'm going to actually use the construction line tool, which is underneath the word draw here in the draw panel. It's this third icon, construction line. And if I click here, we have this flat piece that's at the top. So I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to pull my mouse this 45-degree angle and make sure that the tracking vector is kind of snapped in, and click. And then right click and repeat the construction line or X line, and we'll click here and create a 45. And we'll continue and so that we can pick up all these points that will be projected on that auxiliary view. And we have this bottom piece and the very, very bottom piece here. Now I can start the line command, and as a choice you can actually start from this bottom corner of the top view and track over to your auxiliary view and click as kind of a guide to a starting point. I can create some construction lines, although you can see that you might be able to just draw it with the object layer. But I'll go ahead and create some offsets. So I'll start the offset command and type in here 0.5 and enter, and offset this line over to the right 0.5, and then another offset of 3 from this first line again over, and then one more offset in this direction of 0.5 again, but this time I'm going to select the new line here and pick to the left. You can see the dimensions here. There's 3 and then there are 2.5s coming in. And if you look at the book, or if you don't have the book, those are the dimensions that are given here of that 0.5. And this is probably a good time to look at this. We're actually creating the top portions of this rectangle that's at the bottom. And just imagine that you're looking only at this face, the face that has a circle on it. And everything's projected back from that at a 45-degree angle. So you won't see this back surface. The first surface you'll see is this top surface here, just a small portion of it. And you're also seeing this dark shaded piece here in the front. That's why we have this piece in the auxiliary view, because at that angle you would see some of it down below. So I think we're ready. We might need a few more, but we can go ahead and make the object layer current, start the line command, and now if you carefully look at what you're actually drawing, this top small piece is going to be represented at the top of the auxiliary view, and it's going to go down only to where this face ends, right here. This is the square of this piece, and another line here to represent the top. So this top face that is horizontal in the front view is right here. And then this square is where the circle will be drawn. So now we're drawing lines to represent this rectangle down below. So if I follow this line, this is kind of where it starts, and it goes all the way down to the bottom and comes across right here at the front, and then back to where this projected line starts from this corner. And because we have a shorter piece here, we can draw what would represent the transition from the flat piece on the top, which is this piece here, and this dark shaded piece here on the side, which will be represented here. Now we're ready to draw the circle. I think it might be better for us to turn or freeze the construction layers, so we're going to go ahead and freeze the construction layers for now. And we have a dimension of 1 from the left side here over. You can see that in the detail. There's a 1 there, and there's a 1 there. So I can use the offset command to type in 1 and enter. I can click on this line and go down to the left, and then click on this bottom line and go up. The circle itself is a diameter of 1.5, so I'll go to Circle Center Diameter, click here, and type in 1.5 and enter. Now, when I make the hidden layer current, then when I start the line command, I'll be able to have an object snap here at the intersection of the line and the circle. So I can click there, pull my mouse down and towards the 45-degree increment. I'm going to click here, pull my mouse down until I get this polar tracking right here and click. Same thing with the other side. I'm going to start the line command, click at the intersection of the circle and the line, pull my mouse straight down, make sure that it's straight down in the 45-degree direction, which is actually 225 degrees. It's an increment of 45, and click, and then I'm going to pull my mouse down here and click. And now I have a couple of extra lines I can select and erase. Erase those lines there. And now the top view is based on a projection of these hidden lines. So we can turn back on our construction lines and make that layer current, and then draw a construction line from this end of the hidden line straight up and click. I'll draw another construction line from the end of this hidden line straight up, because that is going to be where the circle starts and ends in this direction. And we know that the circle is based on a diameter of 1.5. Half of 1.5 is 0.75. So I can create another construction line that's from the midpoint here across, and then offset it 0.75. So here I'll use the offset command. I'll type in 0.75 and enter, and then I'll take this midpoint line and offset it up and offset it down. So now I probably didn't have to create all of that, but you have an idea of where this ellipse now will be created if we trim these construction lines. We'll be able to establish a center for this ellipse. So I'll start the trim command, and then I can select here these two vertical construction lines and enter, and then select these construction lines that are horizontal to trim them, so that when I need a center point for my ellipse, because this is an ellipse now, I can pick the midpoint of this line. So I really only needed this one, but I'll go ahead and start the ellipse command. It's underneath the rectangle, pick center, and then pick the midpoint of this line as my center. And now it's asking us for one of the endpoint axes. So an endpoint axis I can go ahead and pick here, and then another endpoint would be the midpoint of this line, and you can go ahead and click there. So what we did was we projected construction lines from these hidden lines here, which actually came from the original flat auxiliary view surface or face. And then once I did that, I was able to create a center line and then offset it half of the diameter, which would be the radius, of 0.75. And by offsetting it 0.75 in both directions and using these two construction lines, I have here what I need in place to draw this ellipse. Okay, this is the drawing itself. We can now freeze the construction layer and start to place dimensions. The only new type of dimension that's here is the diameter. You can use the diameter in this drop down if you'd like to just select here the circle and establish your diameter. If you're done, then save the file and submit it. Create a screenshot if you'd like to save this for your portfolio. If you decide to bring in this image for your portfolio, it's only optional. You can download it and put it in the same folder as this AutoCAD file, because when we go to insert and pick attach, it's a file that's not embedded, it's only a link. So when we pick here the auxiliary, when we pick here the file and pick open, when we use no path, it will only look inside that same folder. I'll go ahead and pick OK, and then I can click, pull your mouse away from that point and click. Now there's a frame around it, and there's a whole discussion on what to do with turning on and off the frame and using actually photos in your AutoCAD file. Okay, so I'm sure that you know this, but I only have two here because I was using this one as a guide to show you how to create this one. Your file will only have this one drawing, and it's only optional to put the 3D image in there. And this is the second auxiliary view, assignment 11, or whatever the assignment is for the class. Please don't hesitate to keep in touch with me and ask questions, or let me know if you need some help. Even if you have questions beyond the scope of the course, I'm here to help you.